I guess one of the first things is always interesting to look back what changed and what do we see now. And for example, simple but very impactful measures like the introduction of the bachelor and the master system in the European market has created a level playing field for universities to compete. And they do that increasingly with English taught programs. And the increase of English taught programs in France and Germany is basically going faster now than in the Netherlands, which traditionally was one of the larger non-English speaking countries with international education. And that allows these students to move around and also to be more picky on their university. So I think that internationalization is something that people want. They want the experience, they want to add it to their CV, but it's also something that the universities will support because they are less, they can depend less on public funding. They will seek more international students to increase their profile. So it's sort of like a perfect storm for that segment. And if you look at the numbers that Jolante presents, I think in the UK it's 25% of the students is international. You can see the potential in all those European markets that we have started to enter. Basically the demand will double in many of them just based on that trend. So if there's anything, I would say that's the one. But also I was thinking, like, if you look 10 years ago, this phone would look entirely different. And I don't know how it's going to look like in 10 years, hopefully smaller than this one, but I think we've seen an incredible amount of innovation in the student housing product as well. Steven mentioned the amenities, the services. You have also mentioned differences in products that people did not know what they wanted. And now that we are offering it, it actually almost creates its own demand. Living together, the benefit is being able to develop networks, even if you go abroad for one semester. Living together means you make a lot of friends. This is the opposite of like a traditional German housing wish or a traditional Dutch housing wish. On top of that, if I may, one more thing. I think we've also seen, especially in markets that were super regulated, like the Netherlands, where when I started working, the minimum size of a student house was 28 square meters, a student room. That has now been reduced almost to half by change in regulation. That allows us to innovate as well. So we can, there's a synergy between demand and supply.
I mean, obviously, as you're saying, the student rooms are becoming smaller. The community areas, if you like, are becoming bigger. It's important for the students to mingle. They want to have a community. So, we see co-living, for example, as a big trend. So our students ask, who is living else in this building? How can we connect to him? So, we have, for example, a community system like Facebook, which connects all the students within a building. And I think the sort of community thought, probably then also co-working and living together is a big trend, and that's what we are seeing in our student homes. So that's what we care for. Yeah.
It's a combination because you still have to deal with regulations, and regulations also determine a little bit how you shape your product. But I think what we see is that students get more serious because it's costly to study, so they try to keep it in the 4 years instead of the traditional 8 years in the Netherlands. And they also look for more serious accommodation where they can have a place to study, where they have a good place to sleep, and they like their own bathroom. And internet is the number one that should always work and be really fast.